The Locked On Podcast Network presents the College Sports Big 3 in 30. The three biggest stories in college sports. From our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story. Why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 30 minutes. The College Sports Big 3 in 30 starts now with the biggest story in college sports.
Texas put the icing on the cake of an incredible recruiting week last night.
You are Locked On Longhorns, your daily podcast on the Texas Longhorns. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What a week for Steve Sarkisian and company on the recruiting trail. The Horns put a bow on their best week of the 2026 cycle by landing a commitment from five-star athlete/running back Derek Cooper from the state of Florida. He announced his commitment last night, and that made it 3 five-star commits for the Longhorns since last Tuesday. This is like a baseball player coming out of a slump with a 3-home-run game, or a pitcher coming out of a funk by throwing a no-hitter. That's the type of 180 that we're talking about with Texas recruiting since last Monday. To put things into perspective, a week ago today, the Longhorns class ranked 13th in the country and 6th in the SEC. Right now, the class ranks 5th in the country. Actually, Rivals has it even higher at number 4, but the composite ranking is number 5, so we'll play by the rules here. 5th overall and now 3rd in the SEC. With just 3 commits in the span of 6 days, the Horns class moved up 8 to 9 spots, and Texas looks to be in prime position to close out another top 5 class. Long way to go, obviously, but things look and feel a hell of a lot different right now, don't they? And I sensed some panic around Longhorn Nation after some of the recent happenings in recruiting. And look, it wasn't fun. The end of June, the beginning of July, Texas was in a rut. I think it was like a 2-for-15 drought that Texas was in. And it just felt like every top target who was committing somewhere else. And not everybody freaked out, so I don't want to accuse everybody or anybody watching or listening to this show, because y'all know better than to worry about the recruiting class 4 to 5 months away from signing day. But hey, there was some general nervousness with a portion of Longhorn Nation about the way things were trending. A lot of folks were asking questions about what this recruiting class was going to look like. And, has Steve Sarkisian lost his fastball? And has Texas run out of money? And this, that, and the other. I can't imagine any of those questions and any of that fear exists right now. Steve Sarkisian has proven again that he knows what he's doing. And there's a reason he's brought in 4 straight top 5 recruiting classes. And there's a reason he just landed the top-ranked class in the country last year. He and his staff, it's not just Sark, it's the entire coaching staff, it's the entire recruiting staff. They deserve all the credit in the world for this as well. They've got this thing figured out. And they know that you don't sign a top 5 class in April or May or June. You sign it in December. We're not even to August yet. So if this thing isn't done, obviously Texas has to keep its current guys committed, but there's still plenty of guys that are still available, both uncommitted and due to our committed somewhere else, that Texas could end up landing. A little more on Derek Cooper before we get back into the big picture recruiting conversation. Cooper is listed as an athlete on most recruiting sites, but he's expected to play running back when he gets to college. That's the expectation for him here in Austin. He is the 2nd-ranked athlete in the class, also the 2nd-ranked player in the state of Florida this year, behind only Texas commit Dia Bell. And he is a top 30 player overall in the class of 2026. Remember, Derek Cooper visited 5 schools this summer. Texas wasn't one of them. Usually when you don't get a visit the summer before senior year, you don't get a commitment. But we touched on it last Thursday. Cooper was originally supposed to commit on July 12th. He pushed it back 8 days, and that kind of told us that there was another school making a late charge. Turns out that other school was Texas. Even before the delay was announced, Derek Cooper was spotted at like a local football camp in the Hollywood, Florida area where he's from, wearing a bunch of Texas gear. And I said it last week, that doesn't always mean something. Guys get free gear. The gear is awesome. They're going to wear it. I would do the same if a bunch of colleges were sending me free cool stuff. Hey, Texas, if you want to send me some cool stuff, I'll happily wear it. But the fact that he was wearing it despite visiting 5 other schools in June and then seemingly not having Texas as a finalist like days before announcing his decision, that felt a little different. And obviously, as last week progressed, Texas started trending and trending more. It was a huge win for Texas. Another win over Georgia, a win over Miami, Florida State, and Ohio State. Those were the teams that were most linked to Derek Cooper over the past few months. He visited all of those schools in June, did not visit Texas, but Texas ends up getting the pledge. It's a huge get. It is a huge get. And there are some similarities between the Derek Cooper recruitment and the Tyler Atkinson one. Of course, Atkinson was one of the 3 5-stars that Texas brought in last week, the number 1 linebacker in the country. We touched on this. Texas went hard after 3 linebackers in this class. They couldn't get Xavier Griffin. They couldn't get Braden Rouse, so they went all in on Tyler Atkinson, and boom, it worked. They poached him out of the state of Georgia. At running back, Texas couldn't get KJ Edwards. They couldn't get Xavier Crowell. Those are the other 2 top-flight tailbacks that Texas was going after. They both committed elsewhere. Cooper kind of felt like the last of the big 3. So once again, Steve Sarkisian and company felt like they needed to pull out all of the stops and do whatever it took to get this to happen. It's a big win for Chad Scott, his first big win on the recruiting front as the new running backs coach at Texas. And man, the Longhorns just continue to crush it with running back recruiting. They bring in seemingly 2 every year. I think they've done that every year that Sark has been the head coach. And to start the 26 cycle with a 5-star, one of the top just overall players in the nation, that's a damn good way to get things going. We'll see what they do with that other spot. As of right now, Texas has 0 offers out to any non-committed running back. So they might wait and do a senior eval and let this thing play out a little closer to December. But again, what a way to start the running back class this year. And it's another out-of-state tailback joining the team. You know, Bijan Robinson, CJ Baxter, Christian Clark, Jarrett Gibson, James Simon, all of those guys who've been running backs here within the last 5 years, they all came from out of state. And there's a lot of Florida love in there too, with CJ Baxter and Jarrett Gibson, both of those guys coming from Florida. Now you get another one with Derek Cooper. Texas has recruited running back very well everywhere. They've had a bunch of success in the Sunshine State. Derek Cooper, 6'1", about 205, 210. He's a track star in high school as well, state qualifier in the 100 and 200-meter dashes, also in the long jump as well. State qualifier in Florida, not too shabby. The high school numbers from his junior season, about 124 carries for 905 yards. That's 9.3 yards a carry. Had 13 touchdowns, had a receiving touchdown, and, oh yeah, recruited as an athlete because, well, he plays both ways. 46 tackles, 10 TFLs, 4 sacks, 3 fumble recoveries, 2 forced fumbles. He also blocked a pair of punts on special teams. So this guy has done a little bit of everything. He could be a linebacker at the next level. I don't think Texas wants him to play linebacker, but he is that type of athlete, that type of talent. And you never say no to 5-star athletes, right? This is a big-time get for Texas football. And you think about the future of the running back room. Everybody who's here in 2025 could return in 2026. CJ Baxter will have another year of eligibility. Quintravion Wisner will have another year of eligibility. And then you look at the younger guys with Jarrett Gibson and Christian Clark and James Simon and Ricky Stewart. They have to come back. Texas could get all 6 of those guys back, plus Derek Cooper and potentially another signee this year. This gives you a little bit more long-term stability, just in case Trey Wisner has another great season and goes pro. CJ Baxter, just in case he bounces back from his ACL injury, puts together a tremendous season and decides to go pro. The Longhorns setting themselves up, obviously, for short-term success, but long-term success as well. They are making sure that that running back room is in a good, healthy spot for years to come. Love the pickup. And a quick bit of a scouting report on Derek Cooper. Quote, a jack of all trades that some schools view as a running back, while others think his ceiling might be higher as a back 7 defender. As a ball carrier, he runs with plenty of tempo and energy as he hits the hole with urgency. Always seems to be spiraling forward with the 6'1", 205 frame, and he will use his core power to bounce off tacklers in tight quarters. Also effective on swing screen passes and has the hands to emerge as more than just a check down option for a passing attack, end quote. So a running back threat, also a receiving threat out of the backfield. Music to my ears. A great get. And the cherry on top of a tremendous week of recruiting for our Texas Longhorns. What a difference a week makes. A total 180. Now, things are looking up for the Horns. Currently a top 5 class and Sark and company still have work to do. 3 little birds. Said it before. I'll continue to say it. Awesome, awesome stuff for the future of Longhorn football.
Ever wish managing your money felt easier? Maybe the Cincinnati Bengals do. With Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers.
Jaquez Wilkes. I mean, Auburn obviously landing his commitment yesterday. This commitment, I think it restored hope in a lot of the Auburn fan base as far as, okay, if you can get a guy like this, one of the top players in the state, On3 has him as a top player in your class currently. I just think it gives you another guy to point to. Sure, you had Hezekiah. No question about it. Hezekiah Harris was a key guy in this class, but now you've got multiple guys where you can say, you are the core of this class.
We talked about this the other night. I feel like, yes, Auburn's added 7 or 8 commitments over the last 2 months, but you really haven't had that blockbuster yet. You know, you've had a lot of guys that I think are going to be solid, like they could project to be really good 2 or 3 years down the road, but you've yet to really add that showstopper guy that like makes everybody kind of turn their heads. And I was like, you got to get Wilkes committed, That could save everything. That could get everybody, back moving in the right direction. And they finally pulled it off. And I think it has. I think it's like, hey, regardless of what has been said about Auburn and NIL and rev share and this, that, and the other, they sacked up and went and got a top 100 player. And I don't care where he's from. I don't care what classification he is. The kid's a player, and I'll take every 6'4", 220-plus pound dude that can run side to side, forward and backward. I'll take as many of them as I can get.
Yeah, I was asked a question on another show last week. What position group do you think is most important for Auburn in this specific class? And I added the caveat that I'll probably say this almost every year, but I said defensive line. And there's some discussion exactly like how Wilkes is going to be used, especially early on in his career at the college level. But most places list him as either defensive end or edge. There's some folks that view him as a linebacker just because of what he does at Wadley, but he literally does everything at Wadley. The stat of the day this morning that I posted, he rushed for like over 300 yards in the state championship game. Like, it's insane, everything that this guy is capable and able to do. But defensive line, you can't win games unless you can rush the passer and win in the trenches. Wilkes helps you do that. End of discussion.
Yeah, if that's where he ends up, I think he's good enough to play anywhere. But I mean, Auburn's recruiting him as a linebacker, so I think that's probably where he's going to start. I thought the same thing.
Linebacker and edge though is so like some of it's semantics, right?
But I thought the same thing about JJ Falk that we're talking about right now. I thought JJ Falk
bring him up
from the get go, edge. He's playing stand up linebacker, like that's where he's working out at. Like maybe DJ Durkin has an eye for these guys that are likes these guys that are 6'4", 220, 230 pounds that can run side to side. Who was the big Mississippi State had a big middle linebacker? What was it? Watson was his last name. He was 6'4" plus.
Deshaun Watson.
Not Deshaun Watson.
That's not
it. They called him Bookie. That was his nickname. Bookie Watson. Nathaniel Watson. They've had other big time middle linebackers. I guess. I mean, maybe DJ Durkin likes.
Hey, look at you knowing your Mississippi State linebackers, my guy.
I know, it's kind of crazy. I just pulled that out of nowhere.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm a comp guy. I like comps.
You are a comp guy. The linebacker room is interesting. I mean, you mentioned JJ Falk. And then then on the other side of it, like you got Bryce Diaz, where it's like, is he a nickel? No, they walked him up. I mean, just a versatile guy. It's all over the place, which is what you've seen Georgia do. I mean, ever since Kirby got there, it's like, yeah, don't know exactly what you are, but you're a really good football player, and we'll just deal with it later. And I am 100% okay with that.
1,000%. You're talking about Bryce Diaz. I've been told that guy is kind of like Riddick from last year.
Yeah.
He may not have a every down role, but there's got to be a role that you come up with to get him on the field because he's freakishly athletic. So again, get as many of those guys as you possibly can and figure it out. Just get them in the room and figure out. If you got to put him on the edge, so be it. If you got to bulk him up and slide him inside, so be it. The kid's a freak. Like, get as many of those as you can.
Yeah, and the timing makes sense for him to be at edge early in his career. It does kind of seem like Auburn's going to go in the portal at edge like most years. I think they're going to have to in December. I mean, assuming everybody goes pro that can. But you're going to need somebody on the other side of with Amaris, and I know you've got some young guys that will step up at that point. But so I mean, I think he's got 2 years to develop really into what he needs to be. I think as a freshman, he'll have some sort of role just because I think he's too good not to, assuming his frame can get to where he needs to be. Something that Brian Smith has talked about, host of The Portal on this show a lot, is kids like Wilkes who play basketball as well. Sometimes in the offseason, they're lighter year round than they typically are because they're running all the time. It's just a different sport. And this is the kind of guy that he said he sees all the time where like they quit playing basketball and they don't lose all that weight.
Shoot up. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're, 250, 260 and they're ready to go.
Yeah. And I assume he's going to be an early enrollee. So probably no basketball season to worry about this upcoming year. Yeah. So yeah, he could be a guy that from December to August of 2026 could easily be, like you said, 240, 250 pounds, if that's what they want him to be. Like if he gets here at spring and maybe he's not quite as agile enough to play middle linebacker as they thought, he could easily bulk up and they can slide him down.
So, I mean, just to put a bow on this conversation, I don't think Wilkes is the most important player in this class, but I think he could be the most impactful.
I would say at this point in time, he may be the most important. Just based off of the way recruiting was going and needing that blockbuster guy to kind of build back the confidence in a lot of things, not just the fans, but I think the whole Auburn recruiting process. I think it's very important at this point in time. But yeah, I mean, you're talking about you could possibly land guys like Braylon Womack at the end of August, like a 5-star safety. So there's still some big dogs out there left for Auburn to get after.
Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same game parlay or watching a bet right in the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. And if you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started.
Ohio State's identity won't be built at a podium, but Ryan Day can set the tone.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's Ryan Day's turn. Ryan Day gets behind the podium. He's going to have to answer questions about Michigan and NIL and the portal and a lot of other stuff going on in the sport. But there will be people asking questions about Ohio State's identity and what the team's going to do to respond after winning a national championship. And while there may be people out there that are going to try to narrate their own story about Ohio State's team in the preseason, Ryan Day's going to do that. And his job today is to set the tone for Ohio State in their quest to win back-to-back national championships, because he can't build a team at a podium. But what he can do is be behind that podium and to make sure everyone knows where Ohio State stands and what the move for the season is. And I think for Ryan Day moving forward, his relaxed demeanor is one that I enjoy, and I am excited to see this style of Day moving forward, because it's very, very easy to find Ryan Day be in a spot that is very uncomfortable. Because let's be honest, Ryan Day's been very, very successful. More successful than most coaches in college football since Ryan Day took over the job after Urban Meyer retired. But at the same time, while he's been successful, he's also had some pretty low moments. And I'm not here to shine a light on those low moments, but we'll provide the proper context to Ryan Day's time at Ohio State. And Ryan Day winning a national championship gets some stuff off his back, allows him to be a little bit more relaxed, be calm, cool, and collected at an event like this, but also know he has something in his resume that I don't believe any other head coach in the Big Ten has in their resume at all. And so while he is on the opening day, which I find very interesting that they didn't put Ohio State on the last day or even the second day, but they put Ohio State first, Michigan last. They mix Oregon in on day 2, but they're not even speaking last on day 2, and they just won the title. I think that shows how the Big Ten even views Oregon right now. Ryan Day can set the tone for the entire day, the entire week, because you know it's tough to follow a tough act. And with Ryan Day being last, that is great. But you're going to have other coaches that are going to get their own time at individual microphone sessions later on that day that's a little bit longer and drawn out. You're going to have time on the Big Ten Network. You're going to have day 2 and day 3 where more coaches will come in to represent their schools. And they're going to have to follow up Ryan Day. And Ryan Day knows that. But not only does he know that, he realizes what his job is at this event, to just control the narrative. And one thing, while setting the tone, he's going to have to control the narrative about the quarterback battle, because we can talk about it, we can harp on it every single day because it is a big deal. It doesn't get much better than being the starting quarterback at Ohio State. For a college football coach, it doesn't get much better than being the head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. And when Ryan Day's at this event and he knows those two statements are true, he realizes the way he speaks about Julian Sand or Liga Ken Holtz can help people understand their growth throughout the season, but also which one might have the upper hand in the quarterback battle. And Ryan Day's on record numerous times saying that this is a neck-and-neck battle. And while it is neck-and-neck, Ryan Day, if he goes in there and he's just glowing and raving about a certain player when he is brought up, and then you bring up the other player and it's, oh, well, he's just okay. He's had some setbacks and we're trying to work him through some things. We're trying to have some individual meetings with him to help him understand the playbook. If that stuff comes out at the Big Ten Media Days, people want to question if Ryan Day's truly telling the truth about there being, well, a neck-and-neck quarterback battle. But Ryan Day can't control the narrative. He can set the tone. And also, he can help build really the hype around the team leading into week 1 of the upcoming season, because Texas is right around the corner. It's July 22nd. The Buckeyes play the Longhorns Labor Day weekend, which is about a month and a half from now. Fall camp is going to start next week, which is another reason why Ryan Day needs to make sure that he sets the tone the right way, because you got to get on that practice field with the players you're trying to lead. And if you go to Big Ten Media Days and you don't set the tone and you don't try to control the narrative and you allow somebody else to do that, what you're going to find is players may question you. And as people, you and I know that have played sports, people are looking for a reason to question the coach, just being honest with you. And if the coach gives you a reason to question him, well, or her, depending on the sport, that's not good for the coach. It's also not good for your team. I think Ryan Day is leading Ohio State in the right way, and he's the right man for the job right now, leading into 2025, which could be a very successful season. I firmly believe that Ohio State's quest to win back-to-back national championships is one that doesn't start today. It doesn't start when fall camp begins next week. It began when these guys got stepped on campus. Now, you have to win that first national championship, but you start grinding to do big things when you get on campus. After you win the national championship, the real work begins or continues, because you have to go a little bit harder. You got to push a little bit more. You got to go a a little bit further. Oh, go through the echo of the whistle. Oh, you hear a second echo. Keep on going a little bit further. Why? Because not only are you Ohio State, you have an X on your back every single day. And it's not just a normal X where X marks a spot. Buddy, this thing is big on your front and your back because everyone's coming for the Buckeyes even harder than they were before. And while Texas and Washington and Wisconsin and Penn State and Michigan and Rutgers and Purdue are all trying to play spoiler this year, they can look back to this day on July 22nd in Vegas where Ryan Day got behind the podium and didn't try to build a team behind that podium, but he set the tone and controlled the narrative, not just about the quarterbacks, but about the entire team to where there was no wavering about what the team's going to be this year. There's no second thought about wondering what the team can be in the fall because Ryan Day is going to let you know. This team is talented. There's a reason why we are very bold on this show that the everydayers realize you're going to get a real authentic view of the team, the benefits of the players on the team, some of the pros and cons of certain players playing versus another guy getting the starting job. You're getting that here. And if you're getting that here, imagine what those players are getting in the locker room. Because Ryan Day is with them every day. Ryan Day knows their weaknesses, knows their strengths. Ryan Day knows what they might be able to do. Ryan Day knows guys that might not be talked about very much that are going to be very, very big for the Buckeyes this year. While he knows that, he might not say names. He might not even call out coaches by name. But Ryan Day knows how to set the tone at this event today in Vegas. There are going to be some Buckeye players in Vegas representing Ohio State and discussing the heart of the team. And as they're discussing the heart of the team, there are three players, Jeremiah Smith, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs, that are going to be there having their own time behind the microphone individually there in Big Ten Media Days, but also I guarantee they're going to be on the Big Ten Network as well, as the Big Ten Network is providing phenomenal coverage all week long there on site at Big Ten Media Days. Well, I got three questions for these three players in regards to things I would love to ask them at this event. Let's go to Caleb Downs first. He is the Alabama transfer after his freshman season, where he won SEC Freshman of the Year. Last year, he was an All-American, phenomenal Buckeye player, played multiple roles for the Buckeyes defense, kind of changed what not his focus, but where his role might be, where he would line up, and it led to a lot of success for the elite Buckeye defense last year. There's one question I have for Caleb Downs. Literally, there were two, but only one's going to really be asked just for the sake of the time we have together. What has Matt Patricia done to help the defense replace 8 NFL draft picks? And I think for him, with his knowledge of the game and him being a student of the game and him not simply being just surface level when he's behind the microphone, he can go a little bit deeper with you and still not give you too much when he's speaking to you. I think that question is going to be big because I don't think there's another player at Ohio State that's starting this year that has time on an SEC team and a Big Ten team. The SEC team was very successful, coached by a future HOFer and Nick Saban, and the one he's currently on in Ryan Day. Tyrone Malone played for Ole Miss, but he's not starting this year. He's a backup, and I think he's going to be a phenomenal backup this year for Ohio State. But I'm very curious about Matt Patricia's role. We're going to have a show coming out at some point, maybe before fall camp begins, about Matt Patricia's role with the defense leading into the Texas game. Now, maybe that will be a show that is revisited game week, but I think Matt Patricia coming in is going to help guys like Caleb Downs, as well as the other players that are going to be 8 new starters for Ohio State this year that are trying to replace guys like Jack Sawyer and Toy Malowau and Ty Hamilton and Tyleik Williams and Cody Simon and Lathan Ransom and others, because those are some pretty big shoes to fill. Not only literally, but figuratively, those are big shoes to fill. And I'm very curious to hear Caleb Downs' answer to that question, because I think he's the perfect guy among these three to answer that question. The one question I have for Sonny Styles is not about for the defense overall, but simply about him in the new role he is having this year. How do you step up to replace Cody Simon's leadership on defense?